Welcome to Season 3 of This Is How My Brain Works, the podcast about living, thriving, and laughing through the ups and downs of neurodiversity. We explore the real stories, the real struggles, and the real strengths that come with thinking differently.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of This Is How My Brain Works. Today, I am joined by Jason and Michael, and I am Krista. Sarah is off today on assignment, and we wish her well today. I'm going to start the timer. Okay. Today, we are talking about capacity versus ability. And I was in our little talk before we started to record, I was telling everybody I did this exercise with a class that I'm doing around AI and leadership. And one of the things they do is they try to figure out what type of leader you are. And in my breakdown, we had to talk about the neurodivergent piece. And the thing that I had never heard before or thought about was they kept saying where you get stuck, it's not about your ability. It's not about your ability to problem solve, to see the strategy, to do the things. It is in your capacity because you are often overwhelmed or you are dysregulated. So in all of the sort of the how can we come up with ways to support you as a leader, none of it was in strategy, thinking, communication, none of it. It was all in how do you serve your nervous system? And it was this real aha moment for me because I think we go through life, especially as Gen X neurodivergents, where we have a lot of shame around, I just can't do it. Everything collapsed. I don't know what happened. I hit a wall, like all these things. And we were taught, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, just keep going, just keep doing. And where we don't often ask ourselves the question is this really about ability? Or is this about my current nervous system capacity? And how do I calm my nervous system so that my brilliance can actually function the way it's supposed to? Instead, we get stuck in that space of you're not good enough, you're not doing it, you're not, this. So it was a real paradigm shift for my brain to start to think about what is my capacity here and how can I, in this project I'm about to go into, how can I create more capacity, not by learning anything new, but instead by creating support systems around my nervous system, which is a completely different way for me to look at leadership. So I just that was very long. So now I'm going to let other people talk.
No, that was a fantastic summary of that. And I think you kind of need that depth of a description of it, and it's blowing me away just thinking how many different areas that goes into. Like when you're talking about your capacity, well, one of the things I was saying as we were chatting before we started recording was, we have these self-limiting beliefs, and it really, a lot of them are narratives, we equate them to ability. At least I do anyway. It's like, well, I'm not able to do that, or I have a hard time doing this, or this is difficult for me. And that is a totally different mindset. No, you can do this. You do have the ability to do this. You are able to do it. You haven't set yourself up the right way to be able to do it. I mean, when we look at education, like the IEP or the different types of things, I mean, you're basically trying to set a student up for success by allowing them to have the capacity to complete a test or to read a book or whatever those things are. And when I'm looking at the other areas it can go into, it's like, are you getting enough sleep? Are you eating the right foods? I've read a lot of things as far as, it's better for an ADHD brain to have a high protein, low carb diet. So, you try that. And when I do make sure that I'm eating decent levels of protein throughout the day, I feel like I have sustained energy and, I don't get into that foggy headspace as much. So that's all around capacity as well, too. So what are those? Well, I'll let Jason respond to kind of what his feeling is about what you said, and then we can maybe explore what capacity means a little bit more.
But Jason's on mute because we've only been doing this for a little while.
For what? This is our first episode?
Season season one, episode one.
I think we were just never served the right boundaries, the right parameters, the right support to handle whatever, our capacity was. There was no language about it. There were no systems, there were no hacks. It was, and I think of when people are like, you can achieve, you can do anything. The truth is you can. It's just you have to add an extra step in there that we don't know about. Is do you need one extra you need one extra step maybe, or
Well,
you need
and
an
it's
extra guardrail. You
and the
need maybe a little
bootstrapping.
something else for the support. But I think you're right. We all have the same capacity pretty much to do things. It's just, will we allow ourselves to quiet the nervous system that attacks the brain, that sort of trips us up sometimes? How do we find out the ways not to trip, to not, because then if we trip a couple times, we're like, can't do it. Every time I try it, I've tripped. Every time I hurt my knee, I hurt my knee. But if it's like, oh, if we took that out for me, I wouldn't trip every time. I could make past that next step. I'd be on my way. And how accommodating is society to put in a step for you? Do you understand? Like in a situation, how often are we given an opportunity to proceed and to attain something where we're given support and help in a world that just assumes that you can do it or you can't?
But I think that's part of the piece of the puzzle is advocacy, right? Like I don't think I would like to think we don't live in a world that was like, oh, you need a little extra time for that. Screw you. Like I like to think we
Well,
live
that's
in a
what it
world.
was.
Yeah.
That's what it used to be.
Well, I don't know if you would have. Maybe, or
Maybe.
maybe it was that we did not know how to advocate for ourselves. So when it was like, too bad, go ahead. We weren't there to say, you know what, 15 extra minutes would make the world a world of difference here. So part of it was we didn't have the words to know or advocate, and so we just got on the rat race and ran as fast as we could and crossed our fingers that it would all be okay. And us learning, Gen Xers are not good at asking for help. We're hyper independent souls. We are not good at asking for help. And so we have to get over ourselves in that space of thinking like, in order for me to increase capacity, that might mean that I need to ask for X, Y, or Z. And you've got to move it around in your head to realize that it's not necessarily asking for help. It's this idea of like, if we're all working on a project and we're all going after the same thing, I need to highlight the thing that's going to help me to be a better team member so that we can get there. So it's a lot of paradigm shifting, I think, in our brains because we were not taught that these things were okay.
Well, and it's interesting thinking about it. I mean, you can't see capacity, but you can see output. You can
Yeah.
see results. You can see, and that's what we look at as like ability. Did you have the ability to do that? Where's the output? What are the results
Yeah.
of the thing that you did so I can then determine if you were able to do that at a high enough level or not. But we're not, you know, so you can see those results. That's ability. And if we're Gen Xers, neurodivergent Gen Xers who are, in some ways haven't realized our potential because we, again, have fed ourselves a narrative that, well, this is just too hard for us or we can't do it, without realizing, to your point, Krista, this paradigm shift, this mindset shift of like, no, you can do it. You haven't set yourself up for it the right way. And I think additionally, to not consider those things we need to do for ourselves as weaknesses. Like extra time, that's a
Right.
weakness. Or, these are this equals a weakness or a deficiency. We can't let that those extra things equal those things for ourselves. It is that like advocacy, taking care of ourselves. It should be considered a strength that we are aware of what we need to be able to have the ability to, to complete something in a like a highly productive way.
And we may not always know what we need as we're muddling through it. Like when I was going through this thing, like some of the things that suggested, I was like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. I would totally do that. And it was things like showing up to be, which talks about this all the time. I know my husband does it, showing up to places to be, to this place, to this project, to the film. First day of set, it was like, I recommend you're there first so that you get to have your energy settle before everybody else's energy comes in. And Greg does that all of the time. And Jason, I know, does that all the time. And I've heard you guys say it all of the time. But for me, it didn't resonate until I pictured myself walking into that set the first day and realized how much more calm I would be if I wasn't absorbing questions immediately, if I was allowed 5 minutes before people started to show up.
Wow.
And what a huge difference to my own just capacity that would make. And having a space where I can go for 10 or 15 minutes midday, where I can put on earphones and where I can have sensory deprivation essentially. Because when you direct a film, think about it, you are hyper listening, hyper watching. It's like everything, right? So where can I go so I can shut her down? So maybe I can just for 10, 15 minutes, just so I can like increase that capacity halfway through. And like really understanding that when you're at the beginning of a big project, whatever it might be, your capacity is a lot because you've slept, you've come in, you've set yourself up for success, but then it's diminishing capacity as the day or as the project goes on. So what can you do to come in and support yourself? Like what does that look like? And to sort of, recoup your capacity. And I think food, I mean, I always tell everybody, like, if you are really, really stressed, I want to know. I do it with my kids all the time. When's the last time you ate? When's the last time you drank? When's the last time you slept? Like, those have to come online first before anything else. But I just wonder, and then this is me wondering, I just had this big aha this week. And hopefully I'll have a project I can report back to. But I just wonder if when we hit challenges, if our brains went to the question of how's your capacity and how do we increase it, if that would change our effectiveness on whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
As
Rudy,
opposed to going to have coaching, paying for classes, trying to learn new skills, trying to not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think especially as ADHD neurodivergence, we are like, ooh, what's the next big thing? What's the next planner? This is going to make me better. This is going to whatever. And I just wonder where is the grace with our own body?
well, because I think it's because we're thinking as far as where are we lacking? It's like, well, I haven't achieved this thing. Where am I lacking?
Right.
So I need to plug in an additional thing,
A
like you're
tool.
saying.
I got to do a tool.
A tool or a certification or a
Yeah.
thing. It's like, then I'll be able to get up to speed to where I'm performing at this level.
Yeah.
But if you're not giving yourself the recharge and those types of things, I love the showing up early to allow yourself to kind of.
Well, and just think how much money we've poured into things and then haven't even done them. If I go back and cleaned up my computer, I could probably give you like 5 different classes that I was like, oh, it's only $25. I'll go ahead and get that. And I don't even remember I bought it.
Well, I'll
It's
tell
so
you this.
true.
I don't know that I knew my capacity before we all got together.
Oh, I definitely
You know what I
didn't.
mean?
Yeah.
I had no idea about capacity. In fact, I didn't even feel, I had no concept of capacity.
Right.
It was frustration. It was overwhelm.
Yeah.
It was,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And
Totally.
both at work and at home, I feel comfortable. And it's really learning a lot about yourself,
Yeah.
what you're capable of, what sort of crutch you need, which is fine. Everyone needs a crutch here or there. But is it Do you need more time? And there's hacks. There's things you have to do as you learn about yourself and I'll give you an example. I know that leaving my house at a certain time is great because there's no traffic. There's no traffic.
And
But if I
that
leave five,
makes your
10 minutes
and that
later,
keeps your capacity open because you're
right.
not stressed about
Right, I've
traffic.
got tons of capacity,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that shrinks immediately because I'm such a time freak
Mm-hmm.
that decreases almost where you're almost suffocating, a suffocating feeling where you knew leaving 10 minutes later was going to create problems, and inevitably it does. And then what happens is the nervous system is all riled.
Yeah.
Right. Then you're late for work. Then everyone's there already, which that you don't love. You don't want to see people then. You don't want to talk to people first thing. It's just but the more you learn about yourself and you say, okay, here I know that I need to leave at this time. For my well-being, to keep my capacity at a level that is sustainable and is not suffocating, where I have extra room that if I need to put other stuff in my capacity bucket,
Yep.
I've got plenty of room because I've put those things in place now that help me to increase my capacity, right?
Yeah, and think about
and
it.
it is the
And
sleeping. I know I need X amount of sleep. I know I have to drink more water. And it's a constant learning. And
yeah.
when you start, you don't feel good, or we talk a lot about, I know, like going from 0 to 100 when something goes wrong and losing your shit. And that is a constant struggle because when you lose it, then you're overcapacitated.
But when you think about it,
Is that a
Jason,
word?
you
You're
go to,
over-
yes, it is
The
now.
capacity is too much.
You go to work and you have your day where you show up early, you're the first one there, the traffic was awesome, and someone shows up with a problem. You are much more apt to go like,
Oh,
we got
yes.
this, we got this, than if it's on the other side, right? And so it's not an ability issue. It's not, can you fix it? Can you help? Do you know? It's a capacity issue. And so then the next step is, okay, there was traffic. I showed up, frickin' people are here. Like, what do I do to reset that capacity when it's not perfect? And I think then that's the next step of trying to sort of figure that out instead of just becoming like, the whims of the world. And we just sort of ride it, which I think most of us have been doing
Right.
our whole lives.
Because we could sit here and say like, okay, here are some hacks. It's like, you show up late and now you're getting stuff thrown at you. Go ahead and take a 10-minute bathroom break. Just find a stall and just chill out. It's like that might not be available to you. So it's like, what are you doing in real time as people are kind of looking at you? That's where these things, like you can do like mindful breathing in the moment. You can also do like little like tactile things like to where, it could be a fidget or just like a real a literal touch point to where you're really focusing on something to help ground yourself. Like you could say like focus on maybe feeling the ridges of my fingertips. It makes you focus in on something so
You can grab
specific.
yourself an ice pack, put it on your vagus nerve when you get in there.
That's a really good one. Yeah, exactly. So there's
I have a question. Is overwhelm, the term overwhelm, because that is I don't want to say therapeutic.
Overwhelm, dysregulation. I think it's all like, yeah.
Overwhelm,
Flooding.
dysregulation. Is that the bubble, your capacity bubble, either at the top or it is busted, the ozone layer,
Yeah.
and you're out. That's what it is,
not
right?
coping with the situation. You're not staying regulated within
That's overwhelm.
within the circumstances. Right.
So you have no capacity left by the time that
You're
happens.
gone. Yeah, it's just like I'm overwhelmed.
But I do think it takes some courage to like say in that situation that we discussed to say, hey, guy, someone came and was like, Jason, I got a problem. I'm only using you because I know what you do, and I know walking in and late and having somebody come in with like a tactile problem.
We're supposed to be able to handle all those things at once, juggle.
But I
We're
think,
supposed to juggle.
And I think it takes courage to say, hey, listen, traffic was horrible and I know I'm running late. Can you give me 5 minutes to recalibrate before we have this conversation? Because I really want to be able to help. Like that in itself is hard to kind of get at when you're already overwhelmed. But those are the things I think we have to start to practice.
Let me ask you. Let me broach something here. Is like, so that is absolutely advocating for yourself, and it is being kind of specific to your needs, right? So now let's say you are, and this probably is coming from a place of insecurity, but like worrying about what whoever is listen, whoever you're talking to, whether it's one person or a group of people, where you're saying like, I need 5 minutes to go recalibrate, or I need to do some, basically some self-care or something to that
Weirdo,
effect,
you're a
right? And
weirdo.
then they're just like, oh,
You know, I mean, they're like,
he
what?
can't hack
You
it.
need 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's like you can't, and I'm not saying like, just lie and say you have to, you have
Right,
a
right.
scheduled
Well,
phone
I mean, I
call.
think, but don't we already say it anyway? I mean, like someone just might be angry and be like, dude, give me 5 minutes. I just walked in the door.
Right.
So it's just
Yeah.
saying the same thing. It's just being mean about
That's
it.
true.
Like, I
That
mean,
is
so what's the
true.
difference? And I guess
Why
I guess,
sugarcoat it?
right. I mean, I guess my whole thing about it is like, if the goal is that we fix that problem, we collaborate, we whatever, if we all have the same goal and someone says, in order to get there faster, I need 5 minutes to think, or I need to, process, or I need this. I don't know why the answer would be like, jerk, because the goal is to get to is to be able, and I mean, if you said I need 5 minutes and then you came back and you were like, I can't do anything, I just am inept, then maybe that would be the thing that carries forward. But if you after when you come back and you're re-regulated and you're like, let's tackle that problem, Jeb, let's see how we can fix that
Yeah.
thing. And you do it, then isn't that better for all? And even if at first they're like, that was weird, I think over time people get it and they realize
Mhm.
it's a more successful model. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not the one, I'm usually the one who can pretty much just be like, no, hold up. Let's everybody go in their corners for 4 minutes. Like, so I know I don't have that.
See and that is one of the things that I've learned, Krista, as far as when we, you know, when we look at like neurodiversity and there are the different types of neurodiversity, and like Jason and I are both like, more on the people pleasing side of things and like worried about what other people think, and then and when you say something like that, where I'm like, that's awesome
Right,
that you're
right,
able to
right.
like
How did she
say
muster
like,
that up? That's
everybody, we're
perfect.
taking 5 and I don't care what you have to say,
Right,
but
but what's the dark side of that? The dark side of that is when I get overwhelmed and I am above capacity and someone brings an idea to the table, I shut down and say, I don't want to hear your stupid idea, and I hurt people's feelings. Right? So
Mhm,
that's the other side of that. And so that's
mhm,
not helpful either. I need to be able to have the capacity to take in new information in a way that doesn't, hit my overwhelm. So that, I remember, gosh, a long time ago when I was at the Groundlings, my box office manager said one time to me, he said, we bring you these ideas and you shut them down and you tell us no. And then later you go off and think and you work them out in your head and then you bring them back in, but you've figured out how to do it without our input. And that's really hurtful. And that was like, shout out Sean Sellers. That was one of the most impactful things I've ever had a colleague say to me.
wow.
And that was not about ability. That was about capacity. Right? Looking
Hmm.
back on it. It wasn't about ability for me. It wasn't about ability for Sean coming to me with great ideas. It was my capacity to metabolize those ideas in collaboration with someone else because it felt overwhelming to me. And so I look back on those things and I think, gosh, there was a better way to do that for both him and me.
Hmm.
But I
Yeah.
didn't know. You don't know what you don't know.
That is interesting. And thinking through like this example that you just gave, oftentimes if I'm in a meeting when there are several people and there's, it's a meeting and there's just lots of information, And I can tend to get flooded in that situation. I have to be able to like either doodle, or I just take lots of notes to stay
Yeah.
engaged or to reinforce things that have been said. I have to be doing something like that. Or else it's just like an information overload. So it is interesting, this idea of capacity and this mindset that you can you can shift this mindset, this paradigm shift, like you're talking about. That there still are those things that the executive functioning piece
That
that
are
that
real.
that they're real.
Yeah.
Like it's still,
Super
it
true.
doesn't mean like, oh, I got plenty of sleep and I drank water and so I'm
And
just
now
gonna,
I'm a master note taker.
and now I understand everything that was said in this meeting and I can regurgitate it to you right now verbatim. It's like
Well,
that ain't happening. Um,
there is a tool for that. I mean, that's a great use of AI, is you
yeah,
get a
that's
note
true.
taker in there and then it organizes it for you. So that is actually a great use of AI. But
Well, the
Hmm.
other thing is, and this is more recent for me, is another I guess you could call it a hack to maintain a good capacity level is to not overwhelm yourself with the 10 things you know you need to do that day,
mm,
right? So often, I mean, recently I've talked to some people about a lot of different people about just trying to put down three things for that day, right? Accomplish those three things. There's a routine to that. I'm not saying that I've implemented it, but I'm saying there's a routine to that. There is a um, there is a feeling that you've taken your capacity bubble and you've got a full handle of it, where you're like, oh, this really helps. I don't have to worry about the 10 things to do today. If I can just get those three things done, I know there's only three things, so I'm not being overwhelmed.
yeah.
And it's just keeping that bubble at a certain level of space for breathing, freedom,
Side
energy,
quests.
anything,
Yeah.
Yeah,
keeping that open and
Yeah.
available.
Yeah.
I think that's a great point. Yeah, I mean it is it there is paying attention to your body and your mind and your
It
nervous
goes with
system.
everything we've been
You have
saying.
to you
People are
have to
like,
be you have to
I
be
got to do
tuned in.
yoga.
Yeah,
Yoga puts me in a place, or I got to work out, right? I go to the gym every morning, or I run, or I mean, exercise is really big. Or when I wake up, I journal. First thing I journal
Yeah.
takes things out of your head, puts it on paper. Your head is now, you've got more space,
What
right?
I
You
what I
put that down,
learned
you're not worrying about it.
what I learned because I was going through the prep cycle for like what do I need to do or what will give me the greatest capacity to start this project. And one of the things was I am just for the duration of that project, I'm just going to wear like all black or all like literally like I just need it all to like I need mindless dressing. I went and I got I changed my makeup routine so that it can be done in like 5 minutes and it's mindless. Like I was like, where can I simplify my life so that my capacity is not being drained on things like what's for breakfast, what am I wearing, what is like when yes, I got my haircut, but I was like, I need to be able to put up in a ponytail because it might be a ponytail month when I do that project. Like what I do not want to any of my capacity, my brain capacity going towards things that do not forward the project through that one intense time. And it's like it was really like clearing the decks. The house needs to be clean before it starts. The whole like there's like this list of stuff of like how can I make sure my capacity
Hmm.
is as big, there's as much capacity as humanly possible, at least at the very start of this thing. And when it starts to fail, what are the things that I might try to do, or who are the people that I go to for what, because they are not always the same people, because I have neurodivergent people all around me. And if I go to if I'm having a problem on set and I go to the wrong person, I'm going to whip their nervous system into a mess. So who do I go to for what? Where are everybody's strengths? So I can say, I have a question about this. That's the person who's going to be able to handle it without screwing up their nervous system. Like,
And how often are there people that like, look, I'm at a capacity I mean, it's not something you're just like, okay, my capacity is 6. You have this feeling.
But why
once you
not
become
ask
more,
it?
Well,
So
we
Brene,
should.
yeah, because
We
Brene
probably
Brown
should.
talks about that. She actually, now that you've this, I
But
just
then my
realized
only
it.
point is there's often times where that you can't go to that person because it will take up all of your capacity.
Yes, that too.
That
And
energy
yeah,
will
that
fill it
too.
up.
Right.
And
But
so
it's
you
interesting.
understand, oh, I've got enough to talk to that person today, or I've got
Right.
enough to handle that situation, or today it's like, can't do it.
Yeah, Brene Brown talks about how she goes when they're at the end of a day, she goes to her husband and she says, we look at our capacity when we're home. So this is now kid family capacity, right? We look at it as a 10. And that we always have to reach 10. So if I come in and I say I'm at a 3, I have a lot of capacity, and he says, oh man, I'm only, I'm or I think they do it the opposite way. I'm at a 3 means I don't have much energy. I think she looks at it like energy. I have a 3, I don't have a lot of energy left. And he's like, I'm at a 6, I got you. But you're calibrating, so you're co-regulating and calibrating with each other so that dinner, putting the kids to bed, all of that stuff, you both know, like, mom's going to have to go sit in the room by herself for a while, but I got dinner, or vice versa. So I do think that there is that co-regulation piece with your team members, but you have to be willing and able to have the conversation about energy or capacity, or whatever words you want to put to it, so that and that's one of the things that I'm sure people are going to roll their eyes the first day on set when I have an entire conversation about being a neurodivergent friendly set and what that means. And I'm sure I'm probably going to have a lot of people who at the end of it go, I had no idea it was neurodivergent.
Yes, of course. Yes.
And thank God. And I love the way that we did this. But at first I think I can see it in the eyes of some of my producers. Like, I can just see it. They're like, you are being a crazy person. And I'm like, I am not. I am setting us up for success.
Totally.
When our
brilliant.
family has too much, the capacities, overwhelm on both sides, I'll just say, let's order. There's no dishes to do, right? You talk about the dishes and you got to make a dinner and who wants what? You're just like, order a 15-piece bucket of the fried chicken, right? That's all you do. You get all the fixings with it. You throw it down. You eat on paper plates.
That's right.
Everyone's in their pajamas already, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, when we're at overwhelm, we're like,
Capacity.
let's just order because it's too much for anybody else. And if one person, sometimes there is, one partner can handle it, but if you both can't handle it,
that's right.
That's what you do.
I always have. That's why I always
can't do dishes again tonight. You know what
I always
mean?
have a dinner in the freezer. That's like there's my emergency. It's like it's the equivalent. Do you remember the old days in the Gen X days where you'd have the Christmas gift that was like the emergency cigarette or the emergency blunt, and it was behind glass and it had a little teeny little hammer. It was a big gift for a couple of years. I have that version of my dinner of a dinner in the freezer all the time, just in case.
Perfect.
Everyone's got their go-to that's easy, right?
Yeah. So
yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think we're probably at the end unless someone has anything else to say.
I'm at my capacity.
Are you at
for
capacity?
this episode?
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I'll go ahead and wrap it up. I don't know a great sentence to wrap it up other than think about it. It's a really interesting thing to think about, to take away am I able or do I have capacity? And it gives you a different way of looking at things and trying to figure out a way forward, especially on challenging tasks. And that is all I'm going to say. So for me, Krista, and Jason, and Michael, and Sarah in spirit, thank you for joining us for this week of This Is How My Brain Works, and we'll see you next time.
If you like this episode of This Is How My Brain Works, please like, subscribe, and share. This podcast is the creative work of This Is How My Brain Works. It is not authorized for use in training, development, or refinement of artificial intelligence or machine learning systems. Any attempt to copy, analyze, or repurpose this audio for AI training is explicitly prohibited.